Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning to a very grim, wet and horrible day here in Zakynthos. As you can see, the weather today is absolutely awful. We had torrential rain last night as well. So it's not exactly going to be much of a white Christmas, that is for sure. Looking over the hills, looking reasonably cloudy, misty a bit, going down to Amberlockerby and Kirree. However, we shall wait and see what the day brings. But in all, not very nice weather. Not sure what it's like where you are in your part of the world. Let me know what your weather's like. People love talking about the weather. That's so British, the weather, isn't it? That's always something we have to discuss. Morning, Donna Bird. Nice to see you here. Also, Ian Wallace is looking in at the moment. Again, looking over towards Lagana, and as the crow flies through to Kalamaki, again, yeah, it's looking cloudy and grim, and also looking across just a little bit of sun just on the horizon, just trying to poke its way through. So we'll see how the day goes. Also, remember, today is the shortest day of the year. Yeah, that's right, 21st is the shortest day of the year. So as of tomorrow, we start to head slowly towards the summer, as well as getting towards Christmas. And also, I heard yesterday that there's going to be a star out. Yeah, keep your eyes peeled to the stars, because the Star of Bethlehem is actually on its way. First time in 800 years. It goes on like a 20-year cycle, and this is the closest it's going to come to Earth for 800 years. And astronomers have been saying that this was probably the same star that the three wise men followed as they went off looking for the baby Jesus. So once again, I understand it's going to be here all week. It's basically two planets, which is Saturn and Uranus, I think it is. They've become very close together, and they create what looks like a star. And basically that is what people see with their alignment being so close together. So anyway, keep a lookout for that at night when you're walking about. You never know, you might see it. Anyway, let's have a look at the news for today. I've just noticed now that my screen, even though I've reset all my tablet, where is the screen bit to, let me just continue again. It looks like I'm going to have to do this whole interview or this whole news segment with you looking across at the field across. Anyway, let's get started. There's a lot to talk about this morning. Anyway, as I said, 21st of December, it's day 44 of the lockdown, the shortest day of the year. And COVID in the last 24 hours here in Greece. We've had 588 new infections recorded. Today's infection now date since it all started way back, 131,072, of which 52.5% are male people infected. Anyway, 11 new cases were detected at the borders. There's been also one new infection in Corfu and Lefkada, and there's been one on another Ionian island. However, at the moment, that island has not been confirmed as to where it is. So anyway, we shall wait and see if we've got an extra case or not. But anyway, we'll find out by tomorrow. Anyway, as for deaths at the moment, actual fact, I haven't written down the deaths, but the death toll at the moment is, I think we were down yesterday, this is off the top of my head, to about 98 deaths, but that brings a total death rate since the pandemic started to 4,172. The average age, 79 years of age, and 95.7% of them all had underlying health conditions. As for critical cases in hospitals at the moment, we have 515 people in ICUs across the country. The average age of those people is 67, with a 77.1% having underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. Anyway, the news has been changing this morning because a lot's been going on. The Greek government has confirmed that arrivals to Greece from the UK will have to quarantine now for 7 days, which started at 6 o'clock this morning. However, European leaders are going to decide today on the coordinated EU response to the situation in the UK regarding the surge in infections due to the new strain of COVID-19, which the British government has been rallying on about. At the moment, France, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Bulgaria and Italy have already suspended incoming flights from the UK, with the cancellation of all services between the UK and France through the Channel Tunnel. Anyway, when you start closing the tunnel, you know there's going to be issues going on. France has barred all services by ferry for at least 48 hours, with the Netherlands denying all entry except for freight. The situation is becoming very chaotic in the UK. I think a lot of this you can actually blame the UK for, because basically they've been making such a song and dance of this new strain. Yes, things will mutate, they will change, but it's going to be the same everywhere. So basically this is not helping, and I think there's a little bit of Brexit at play behind this as well, because obviously the Brexit negotiations are going, and at the moment for the EU at the moment they're not been going that well in their favour. So this is a little bit of extra chaos that can be thrown in to the EU negotiations as well. Anyway, also, it says that many Europeans are unable to return home. Greece has imposed a mandatory 7 days quarantine from today for anyone arriving by air from the UK, which I've already said. And the bans are for a variety of periods, but the situation is changing by the hour. So again, this is it. It's changing by the hour. Okay, another thing kind of related to COVID in a way. As you may know, we've been following the story or what's been going on with the Zakynthos General Hospital at the moment. You may remember last week there was an emergency meeting by doctors of the hospital saying that they were understaffed and they were having problems in the hospital. You may then remember there was an announcement by the management yesterday, who obviously said this is all lies, this is all been politicised and all been blown out of proportion. The hospital is doing okay, it's functioning, and basically it's because of Syriza, the party that was in power before New Democracy took over, that things hadn't been done over their tenure of office, and since the new party's come in, things have been done, and things are not as bad as what the doctors are saying. However, there's another twist on that story. Actually, this morning, a question was tabled by 24 deputies of the Syriza Progressive Alliance to the Minister of Health on the initiative of the Deputy Head of Health and a Member of Parliament to Thessaloniki, Dora Avetis, about the shortages of doctors in many clinics and the units of the Zakynthos General Hospital, which are critical in the view of the retirements that are due to take place, and also to the freezing of announcements of filling positions. Now, that's another little bit of a story that I'm going to come on to in a moment, about changes in the retirement here. And obviously the hospital now, according to the deputies, the hospital is going to undergo more loss of doctors because of retirement age loopholes are going to be changed. And I'll come on to that in just a short while. Anyway, the deputy also has been saying, because of the now the pathology clinic, the cardiology clinic, the artificial kidney unit, the radiology department, the paediatric clinic and the surgery clinic need immediate reinforcement and staffing with permanent staff, as well as the hiring of a gastroenterologist and an orthodontologist. So anyway, the minister is going to be asked the following questions. What does he intend to do in order to immediately staff the largest clinic in the General Hospital of Zakynthos, the pathology, as well as the rest of its understaffed clinics? He's also going to be asked, does it intend to immediately announce the 3 vacancies of doctors and medical directors of pathology's clinic that remain vacant, creating serious malfunctions? And he's also going to be asked, what does it intend to do to strengthen the primary healthcare units, which are essentially operating out of medical staff. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that story. Obviously, it's like a game of political tennis going on. One lot make one set of allegations, the other lot lob the ball back. So I think the ball has now been lobbed back to the Parliament to see what the Minister of Health is going to react to questions being tabled to him. No idea when those tables are to be tabled in the Greek Parliament. But anyway, you've heard it from me. That is literally breaking news from this morning here on the island. Anyway, another major story has broken today, which I think is a really quite shocking story, is that the children's playground in Zakynthos town, there's two of them, have now been closed by the authorities. Now, both playgrounds belong to the seafront. One of them is located just close to the school that's on the seafront, up near where the port office is. And the other one is around the back of where the cinema is. Or what they call the Spiritual Cultural Centre is in Solomon Square. And I know I was down there last week having a coffee, a stand-up coffee outside a little cafe there. All the kids were playing, the sun was out, and it was rather quite sweet. Well, anyway, it's been decided now that both of those playgrounds have to be closed. The Zakynthos Port Authority closed them, putting chains and padlocks and cordon tape round them. Now, the press has been asking what has led to the closure of the playgrounds areas. And one reason that has been muted is the parents of the quarantine who took their children there to play on the swings and various bits of playground equipment. However, the area has also attracted a load of teenagers and older children who've been climbing on the play equipment, which has resulted in a lot of damage. Anyway, according to the president of the Zakynthos Fund, Anatonis Plessa, the closure was necessary for the protection of public health. So basically, the little playgrounds where kids could go with mum and dad for a bit of exercise now, they've been closed. They're obviously saying that it's children, teenagers, and also maybe some adults going on there and playing on the kit when they shouldn't be, and they've been causing damage. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But anyway, that's another little area now that has been closed. Anyway, as I was saying about linked in with the hospital, there's going to be a closure of loopholes, which opened in the summer of 2015, which led retirement of many workers on more favourable terms before reaching the general retirement age of 67. Now, those loopholes are going to be closed. Now, the legislation which was passed along as part of the third bailout programme from 5 years ago regarded the extension of the retirement age. So this was one of the things that Greece had to do, was up its retirement age in order to get these bailouts to keep the country running. Anyway, now the idea was to impose the new limit gradually, so as to stem the surge of early retirements that had been one of the main challenges to the social security system. Now, this legislation is estimated to concern between 100,000 and 120,000 insured workers. And by insured workers, what they mean, people have been paying into the old age pension scheme that they run here, which is part of the eco payments when you work. Anyway, now they're warning that of new interventions to the pension system, which could lead to the majority of them seeking to retire within 2021. So at the moment, there's a lot of people who are thinking, that's it, I've reached the age, I qualify, I'm now going to officially retire, which is obviously going to put a strain now on the country in the realms of paying out on the social welfare systems. Anyway, experts say this concerns workers who entered the social security system before 1993, which for all others, the door of early retirement has closed for good, forcing them to wait until the age of 67, where before they could retire at 62, unless, of course, they completed 40 years service by the age of 62. I said 42 there, it's 62. All right, so you've got to do 40 years, be at the age of 62, and then you could technically get the early retirement. Now it looks like 67, which probably brings it in line with everybody else at the moment across the Europe. Anyway, we'll see what happens, if that is going to cause major problems here in Zakynthos and across Greece, as people are now deciding it's now time for early retirement. Right. Rather a grim Monday morning, I've got to be honest. Anyway, Donna Bird is tuning in. Nice to see you, Donna Bird. Nice to have you here. Ian Wallace is tuning in as well. Donna Bird says, morning, Ginge. Morning, Donna. Johnny Hayes, ex-Rap Reg buddies, tuning in as well. Nice to see you here, Johnny. Johnny says it's dark and raining as well. Somebody else is tuning in, whose name is in Greek, and I can't figure out who that person is. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Nice to have you here as well. Amanda Gregory is watching as well from up the road. She says, how are you, my lovely? I am good. I hope you are well. Morning, Ginge, too. And obviously, you must have had the rain where you are last night. Donna says it's dark but dry where she is. I think she's in Liverpool, if anything. And Amanda Gregory says, was pelting down at 4 a.m. The Star of Bethlehem kiss. Oh, thank you. Ian Foster is watching as well. Nice to have you tuning in. Andy Spencer is watching as well. Nice to see you, buddy. Are you still driving at the moment? That's the question to ask. But nice to have you tuning in. Paul Bruff is watching. Not sure if Paul is here in Greece at the moment. He's up in Poros, where he keeps his yacht, ever so posh, keeps his yacht up there, or whether he's back in Prague at the moment with his partner. Anyway, nice to have you there tuning in, Paul. Also, Sam Curtis in Brighton. How is it in Brighton today, Sam? I hope the weather's nice. Anyway, give you a wave back as well. Tommy Burns is watching. Nice to see you, Tommy, tuning in. Amanda Gregory says, power cut this morning. Laugh out loud. I better talk a bit quicker. Alan Woodhouse is watching as well. Jan Dendy is watching too as well. Sam Curtis is saying, morning, Ginge. Very wet and windy today here in Brighton. Getting better later on. Getting ready to leave for work at 8 a.m. Bless you. It must be early morning there. Of course, you're 2 hours behind us, aren't you? John Stowell is watching as well. Amanda says, Marley had first injection and now weighs 4.5 kilos and is doing well. Bless him. Oh, little Marley, Bob. Anyway, Ian Wallace is saying, morning, Ginge, from a dark and wet, chucking it down. Tier 4 Kent. The air and land borders from the UK are now shut. Big sign outside Dover saying border is closed. I've got to be honest, Tier 4 is where my mum is. She's in a nursing home in Margate in Cliftonville, and talking to them yesterday, the absolute chaos at the moment. Everybody, especially in the nursing home, people hoping for family to visit, also welfare, just mental health for people. A lot of people have been saying now that this tier 4 now, which is affecting a lot of people and families, you just feel that the Greek government at the moment is just so stupid, lurching from one thing to the next thing. And now the creation of tier 4, which in effect is going to ruin the Christmas for many people not even sure what they're going to do. A lot of people on their own as well. All right, if you're a vulnerable person on your own, you are entitled to have somebody with you. But there's people like my mum and her residents of her nursing home who've been virtually in lockdown since the beginning of the year. And something I discovered, which I wasn't 100% aware of, is that every time my mum had managed to get a hospital appointment and go to have treatment, she would then end up doing 5 to 10 days isolation when she came back to the nursing home, which again is really hard on especially older people. So asking for common sense at the moment to prevail, I think, is like pissing in the wind at the moment with the British government. And again, all I can say is all we're able to do is just see how things play out, to be quite honest. But there's a lot of people hurting out there at the moment. But anyway, thanks for that, Ian. Nice to see that you're in that tier as well at the moment, and you're seeing on the ground the first effects of this new massive lockdown that the British government has done to itself about what's going on with the hysteria
over the virus. So does that mean all this vaccines, millions of pounds have been spent on it? Are they going to be worth anything now with all the hurrah that's going on? Anyway, we shall just see how the game plays out. Anyway, Nicola Hooper is watching as well. Nice to see you. James Hughes is watching. Raffridge Buddy, Chris Gorman is tuning in as well. Nice to see you. Ellis Jane Hales is watching as well. Nice to have you tuning in. Debbie Waltham's home is watching too. Nice to see you here. Steve Himpling, Gallimera, heat wave in Stoke today. I wish, yes, I bet you. Wish we had one here at the moment. Dry up the land. I'm so glad I did that burning last week. I dread to think if I walk in the fields, I think I'd go up to my knees. I've noticed the guys who are doing the olives, they're not out today doing the olives, that's for sure. They must have got it all done. Anyway, Martin Taylor's tuning in. Martin Taylor from Australia. Oh, hello there. Nice to have you tuning in. How are things in Oz at the moment? Derek and Bridget Cole are watching. I think they're actually in Cyprus, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, nice to have you tuning in, guys, as well. Julian Ferris, the Fez, is tuning in. Oh, ex-Rap Red Budgie. Nice, buddy. Nice to see you here, Julian. Are you still working at the moment? Are enough special effects being done in the movies? He's involved with a company who make prosthetics for films and stuff, and a lovely guy. Really nice to have you tuning in as well, checking up on Ginge. Thank you, fella. Nice to see you. Tracy Malone is also tuning in. Lovely to have you looking in as well, my lovely. Steve Hodgson, fire service up there in concert. County Durham. I was very impressed with your Christmas dinner that you did the other day that you put up online. Do you know what? It just looked like a typical fireman's Christmas dinner. Nothing to do with presentation, just about quantity. Get as much as you can, as varying as you can, get it on the plate. And it looked like it was a lovely Christmas dinner. And as you were eating it, I bet your little eyes were listening for the bell. So I'm not sure if you can actually fully enjoy what you'd cooked to yourselves, but bless, it looked lovely. Anyway, Tim Crystal says, morning, buddy, from a wet and windy Oxfordshire. Yeah, nice to see you from Tim. Tim the King, our Elvis tribute. John David Hester is saying, morning, Ginge, last day in today, then off work till the 4th of Jan. Oh, there you go. Are you actually on a Christmas break? Anyway, you might be staying at home longer, working from home. You never know. Alison Wharton is also watching as well. Vicky Wood is watching. Nice to have you tuning in. Steve Hodgson says, hi from the concert crew here at County Durham. Yeah, got you. Dave Coldwell is tuning in. Now, I think that's Dave Coldwell from the United States of America, if I believe. Not sure if he's a family member, but he is a veteran, full of forces as well. Nice having you tuning in. Martin Taylor is actually in Australia, says COVID outbreak here again in Sydney. I must admit, we've been hearing a lot of real horror stories about what's been going on in Sydney, especially the area of Victoria. People being arrested and all sorts of very, very heavy-handed policing going on over there. So I'm not sure how what it's like in Sydney at the moment, if it's as strict as what Victoria has been. Julie Meldrum is also watching in. Nice to have you tuning in as well, my darling. Chris Neal is also watching too. Patsy Ann Dobson from Margate, a wet Margate, now locked down to the rest of the world, is tuning in. Philip Ellis is also tuning in. Tim Crystal says there's a lot here, including his backbenchers, saying he was also going to do it, even when he said it's all okay. But when the Parliament went home on Friday, he made the statement on Saturday, there is trouble ahead. Yeah, basically, this is politicians all over. You sometimes wish that Boris would grow a pair in some respects, stick to a plan, rather than wishy-washy. And to be honest, it just feels like flailing around all the time. He's got supposedly all these experts. They've all got a little hidden agenda. You know, Michael Gove, I wouldn't trust him as far as you could fling him. He looks at Boris thinking, I want your job. He wouldn't even answer the question. I was watching him being interviewed. I think it was Piers Morgan interviewed him. Not a great fan of Piers Morgan, but that's by the by. But Piers Morgan did press him and said, do you want to be Prime Minister? And would he answer the question? Would he? Hell. Just flailing around. I thought he was going to get an easy ride on the Good Morning programme, but he didn't actually. But anyway, we shall wait and see. Cheers for that, Tim. You just sort of jolt my memory. Gary Negus is also watching as well. Paul Mason is watching. Michael Wood is watching. Howard Lamb is also checking in from the island. Nice to see you looking in, Howard. Martin Taylor, he says there has been 78 cases recorded in northern beaches, so we have taken a step backwards. Restrictions, so now we can only have one person per 4 square metres in venues, and every other state in Australia. Yeah, this is Martin, obviously from Australia. Let me just read that again. There has been 78 cases recorded in the northern beaches, so we have taken a step backwards. Restrictions, so now we can only have one person per 4 square metres in venues, and every other state in Australia has closed its borders to Greater Sydney. He also follows up saying, not as strict as Victoria in Melbourne, but things are going in the opposite direction again. Hopefully we will make it through Christmas without being locked down. Fortunately, the COVID tracking here, hang on a minute, I've lost that a minute, hang on a minute. Fortunately, the COVID tracking here is really good, and they have found it come from abroad. Oh, that's interesting. People managed to dodge the 2-week quarantine on arrival. Anyway, that's okay. Fair enough for that. So, see, the strange thing is, our infection has not really been from abroad, to be quite honest. There was this big panic at the beginning of the season. All these people are going to come here spreading virus and everything else. But in reality, when you looked at the figures, no, it wasn't tourists that were bringing in the coronavirus. It was actually people spreading it between themselves. The locals, basically just the way they are. Very sociable people, like to get together in big family groups. People would contract it from someone else, and of course they spread it around, and that's the reason. But in comparison to a lot of other European nations, Greece has actually not had it as bad in comparison to other places, and we have controlled it relatively well, actually, to be quite honest. However, we're now in the position where we are in extreme measures. We're on an island here looking at Zakynthos as a test case. We have just 3 cases of it. They've been pinpointed. Those people are in quarantine. But the rest of the economy is all closed down. People are still in their homes. And I'm waiting this week for a change from the government here. At the moment, we're allowed 9 people from 2 households in one location at Christmas. I have a feeling before the end of the week, it's going to end up that we're only going to be allowed to have 2 people maybe from other households thing. But this is my prediction at the moment with what's going on. We're kind of gently being set up with the way things are going on for more lockdown stringencies being placed on us, especially after Italy. And what's going on now with the UK basically locking down like it has done, it's not helping us here either in that direction. Because it seems to me that when one government comes up with an idea, the next government seems to follow it literally on tack. So it makes you wonder, the governments are all singing off the same song sheet at the moment. But anyway, Steve Hodgson says, hi Ginge, them Yorkshire puddings have won awards up here in the northeast, especially the wife made them as well. All right, fair enough. I love a Yorkshire pudding. I do. Do you know what? We was in Iceland the other day. We have an Iceland here. I'm going to do a report on Iceland one morning. I'm going to speak to Dan Norman, who sort of runs that, and see if he'd be up for a little report about Iceland. I'm sure there's a lot of people across Greece who'd be curious to see that Zakynthos has its own Icelands here. Not the same prices, but we have the products, all right? So I thought I'd just put that in. Anyway, Graham Bint is also in Australia. He's watching. Everybody from Australia seems to be tuning in today. Mark Pettit is watching as well. Martin Taylor's saying Melbourne has gone 50 days without any community transmission, and Sydney went 27 days before finding there was another outbreak. Yep, it keeps changing, and it's a case of, well, to be honest, what is an outbreak? How many people were testing positive, and where had those people come from through the track and trace? Is it overkill that's going on there at the moment? Because I know in the Melbourne area, in Victoria, it was real overkill and very aggressive overkill. You'd think somebody had the bubonic plague at one point. Anyway, Jeannie McFlorin is also tuning in. Nice to have you looking in. Grant Reesingham is tuning in. Amanda Gregory. Greece led, the rest followed. Yes, there was a case of that at the beginning. However, at the moment, you're just feeling that Greece is now starting to follow, to be quite honest, especially what's gone on with Italy, who've now put major restrictions down in their country. I just have a horrible feeling that we are going to follow at some point. Anyway, Graham Miller is watching. Martin Taylor says, I hope you have a nice Christmas and New Year, and many of you be COVID safe. Yep, I agree with that. And Henry Kavanagh is also watching as well. Right, I'm going to leave it there. God, what a amount of people that's been tuning in. Hopefully tomorrow we'll see what tomorrow brings. Also as well, don't forget my next show is on Wednesday. Whatever date that is, Wednesday, I think the 23rd, I think that might be, whatever. That will be broadcasting here, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock in the afternoon UK, which is 6 o'clock here in Greece. The last show 20 is now charted. Yeah, number 62 in the reggae chart. So I was really quite chuffed about that, and it went in the chart quite quickly. I'm also in the process of making this special Christmas show as well for my mum and her nursing home. But I'm also going to be doing a special show on Christmas Day. There'll be no broadcast like now, podcast type of thing. It will be a Christmas show in the early hours of Christmas Day. Just a couple of hours, Christmas tunes, greetings, wishes, everything else. And I'm going to do that on Christmas Day because the telly is so poor in the UK from the looks of it. If you want Kung Fu Panda, all three of them back to back, forget that. Come and watch us on the big screen. And I'll also put it up as a download. So whatever time of the day, you might want to put it on after the Queen's speech and enjoy the video, enjoy the music and the festive cheer over here in Greece, all right? Anyway, you take care, have a great day, and I'll speak to you again soon, and stay safe. Ta-ra.